Hello viewers and welcome again to Discovering Truth, and I am Pastor Forbes from Abiding Word Ministries, the gateway here in the Gambia. Well, this our long series is beginning to see the runway. We are now in part 12, and I think we have 3 more episodes that will take us to the end. This series entitled The Gambia, Getting It Right. We started in February and we have journeyed through February, March, April. We have this episode 12, and then by the grace of God, next week we have 13, and chances are the first 2 Tuesdays in June, all 3 Tuesdays, we'll be able to wrap it up. I know it's been challenging, it's been hot, it's been raw, it's been difficult, but when you want to achieve something, you really don't start having the mindset of a pity party, a victim, and nobody likes you, everybody misunderstands you. That doesn't help you. As a matter of fact, somebody has said, and they said that concerning David and Goliath in the Bible way back in the day, Dawda, the young boy who brought down that 9-foot tall and God knows 150 kilogram man Goliath, a giant. And people have said that your friends, those who really come around you, are not the people that will take you to the next level of your life. That more often than not is your enemies that do that. Why? Because they provoke something in you. They annoy you. They say something that you do not like. They open a wound. They bring the elephant in the room. And for some reason, you are now deliberately galvanized and determined to ensure that nobody ever does this to you again in life. So you stir up yourself and you do something. And I believe that over the last 12 weeks, I hope we've been able to do that in some way, privately, at the family level, the institutional level, and nationally. We look at ourselves, because the truth, ladies and gentlemen, is that if I am getting it right, the results will be there to be seen. If I am not getting it right, the results will be there to be seen. These are predictable outcomes. It is how you can tell that somebody consistently was having good grades in school, and then after some time something goes wrong. You must be able to go back. What's the root cause? Is it a domestic problem? Is it a broken home? Is it a dysfunctional family? Is it peer pressure? Is it distraction? Is it movies? Is it a girlfriend? Is it a boyfriend? Is it drugs? Is it theft? Is it something that has happened? Is it health related? You must be able to go back to read, because other than that, all was going well. So the outcomes tell you that somebody has been doing a lot of input. And so as a nation, we love ourselves. I love my country. Believe me, I do. And I can tell, as you can tell, how far we have gotten it right with respect to where we could have been. As I said, our size is not negative. Our size is a huge advantage for us. Where other bigger nations are struggling to get things going, we should be checking and ticking the boxes on every index because of our size, energy, call it anything, medical expectations, communication, anything, travel time, punctuality, everything you think of, because of our size. But that really has not been what it can be. And so we've been discussing how we can get it right. And after a few of the episodes, I said that I think there are 4 words depicting 4 areas of our national life that we must critically examine and try to overhaul and recalibrate and re-establish a proper national and, if you like, generational pathway. And these 4 words were and are corruption, religious bigotry, jealousy, and the Gambian version of the Arabic word maslaha, welfare, common good. So some people have called it CMRJ, some people have called it CRMJ, whatever you've called it, I'm fine by that, as long as it's corruption, religious bigotry, jealousy, and maslaha. And ladies and gentlemen, except you live under a hole, you will know that these four are real challenges. The first one plays itself every day, from the bottom to the top, or maybe I should actually say from the top to the bottom, because the ability to practice corruption is greater at the top than at the bottom. It actually filters down, and it is a killer. It sucks the life out of us nationally, can bring us and grind us to a halt in poverty. And nations around the world that are filled with that are very unstable. And then religious bigotry. That one has also played its ugly head around in a very shameful way, because it is not who we are, except it is who we are, and it was masked and it's now coming out. Again, if we look at nations where religious bigotry has been left unchecked and allowed to just proliferate and thrive in its own way, except you live under a rock, the outcomes of it are a lose-lose for everybody. And one of the reasons why it's bigotry and that attitude is bigoted is because the people who are proponents of this kind of intolerant behavior benefited from tolerance themselves. Educational tolerance, health tolerance, societal, communal tolerance. And it's as if they wake up and they develop temporary amnesia. They've forgotten that what they are trying to fight and destroy and bring down is what actually helped them even have the voice to talk. That is an ingratitude of the highest order. So religious bigotry must not, cannot, and will not be accepted to thrive in this country. And then we come to jealousy. The Wolof word is anyan. Jealousy. Jealousy, ladies and gentlemen, is envy, is covetousness. Jealousy is also resentment. And ladies and gentlemen, it's resentment of people, things, sometimes places, people's achievements, their wealth, their progress, people who have been honored, sometimes even somebody who has a pleasant personality and character. Somebody becomes jealous of them. People who have been favored, not people who have angled and bribed their way. They've just been favored. Or people who have just been blessed. People who have succeeded by hard work. People who by generational hard work live well. And somebody becomes envious, resentful, jealous, to the point of coveting. Now let me also say that there are instances where jealousy is founded. Have you ever seen twins? How they can protect each other? Sometimes, unfortunately, until they fall out with each other, then nobody can come between them. But twins can be fiercely jealous of each other. Ask people who have related to them. And you can understand that good jealousy. Sometimes even siblings. Sometimes in marriage, you can have a very jealous husband, founded. A very jealous wife, founded. And I hope, because when I say founded, I don't mean founded because the spouse knows that the other person is unfaithful or a philanderer. No. Sometimes it's just that I want to keep him to myself, keep her to myself. And that is good to a point. Because when it crosses a particular line, that is where suspicion and all kinds of things begin to come in, and invariably and inevitably, sadly, the partner is driven away. The connections become a disconnection. And sometimes when you talk to people, they say, it's just because I love her so much. It's because I love him so much. But that love is stifling the person. That love is constricting the person. They can't breathe. Because with that jealousy, it's like, where were you? Come, let me smell your shirt. Open your phone, let me see. What is your PIN number? Who was that man you were talking to? Who was that lady you were talking to? Why are you not eating lunch? Why didn't you finish your dinner? That becomes too much. And actually, there is a Bible verse that talks about it with respect to marriage, that says that sometimes it is better to live on the rooftop of a house than to live with a jealous, nagging person. Wants to know everything. People who relate to me will tell you, I've often said this, that, look, if you are Mrs. Jealousy, please, I beg you, do not marry a gynecologist. If you are Mr. Jealousy, please do not marry a highly professional woman who is top of her game. Because there will be so many things at play. Because at that level of her profession, people will be interacting with her. And people are different. Westerners, Asians, Africans, people meet each other at conferences. They peck each other on the cheek. Maybe they hug each other. And maybe you see your spouse taking a selfie. It's on LinkedIn, on Facebook. And smoke is coming from your ears and your nose because you're jealous. Sometimes, and the truth about marriage is that it's almost like a tandem play. There's a time when maybe the wife can be up there being celebrated by their profession, their skills, their beauty or something. And then another time the husband is up there being celebrated. So if that dynamic is not understood, there will be all kinds of levels of jealousy. And the Bible also says that when a partner becomes unfaithful, the spirit of jealousy can also rise up because somebody is invading my territory. So that is understood. And that's not a national problem. At least I hope not. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about this mindset and this operation, this kind of living where we would rather people fall down, people fail, will believe all kinds of stories about them, will rather undermine, become derogatory about people so that we bring them down and we are all happy. No. Because, ladies and gentlemen, whether jealousy is founded or unfounded, it is a killer. Jealousy is like a cancer. It eats you from inside. And we must be careful about it because more often than not, apart from what I just said earlier, most jealousy is unfounded. There is no fact. Some people say, well, it's my sixth sense. Maybe. But more often than not, and I can tell you as a pastor, sometimes it's the prejudice. From the get-go, you didn't like that man. From the get-go, you didn't like that woman. From the get-go, you are prejudicial to their complexion, the car they drive, the degree they got, the National Merit Award, the house they live in, the way they are being celebrated. Every time they are where big people are, you find them in the big occasions. They dress well. Sometimes it's prejudice. Sometimes it's a prejudice from lack. So jealousy begins to tell you them and us. You know that phrase, the dictatorship of the proletariats. And somebody thought in a particular country he could handle jealousy by making everybody wear the same kind of clothing, same color, white and blue. It didn't last. Sometimes you find people who have this jealousy which unfortunately brings them to the point of low esteem. self-esteem, and they feel that the many more things I get, let me get houses, cars, girlfriends, wives, degrees, nomenclature, title, to cover my insecurity, to cover my jealousy, because when I was growing up, it was never sufficient for me. And in many ways, we've all had that challenge. Some people have been driven by that challenge into positive ways, that I'm never going to allow my children suffer the way I suffered. And that's good. But it's not against another family. It is not against a school. It is not against a religion. It is not against anything. If anything, it is against your own self-achievement and maybe generational improvement. So you make sure that I am going to break this jinx in my time. Because, somebody driving a posh car or lives in a plush mansion, 2 floors, 3 floors, swimming pool, and every time the national grid goes off, they have electricity and they have water. And there are 3 or 4 cars parked in their garage. And when you open, you see a manicured lawn. And you characterize them bourgeois. I remember a late West African president was jailing people almost to the point of killing people and seizing their houses. And you know what his logic was? He said, why do some people have 2 toilets in their houses when others don't have? How can you blame somebody for that? Because let me tell you, even if you uproot the 1 toilet and donate it to that person, what is that going to change? Will that give them water? Will that buy toilet roll for them? Will that make every other thing work? But it was the prejudicial jealousy. Maybe I grew up squatting in a hole. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody has had a challenge. It's like the wealthy people of our world, especially those who have acquired their wealth and have not inherited their wealth. We cannot be jealous about them. They have worked hard. Sometimes you hear their stories, you are shocked. People have flipped burgers. People have sold plates. They have washed diapers. They have taken care of elderly people, changed bedpans. They have cleaned toilets. They've done many things. Now this person sits down and lives in a 2-3-story building overlooking the ocean, drives in a car that is tinted. You probably cannot see them. When they come down and they press the key lock, you hear, pew, pew, and you say they are jealous. They are stealing money. They are pushing drugs. They have been in prostitution. No. Because if that's what you think, why don't you go and practice it too? And see. If you are so easily able to analyze people, then why don't you go and do it? People have worked 3 jobs, 2 jobs. I have met people who change clothing in public toilets, sleep in buses. But they've built their homes. You can't be jealous of them. Rise up and work hard yourself. Because those people have 2 eyes, 1 nose, 1 mouth like you. The other thing is that, what about people whose properties are actually on loan? The man invited you and you stayed in his 2-story, 3-story house, and he has an attic, a loft, and a basement with a billiard table. And you are upset. What you don't know is that house is on a 25-year mortgage. It's not going to be his or hers maybe until they're in their 70s. And if they don't keep up with the monthly payment, the house can be taken from them. So why are you seething, getting upset, running temperature, high blood pressure, hypertension on something that you don't know? The car they are paying every month. I remember when we were building our church, when we started, the speed we were going with, somebody called me and said, "You're burning in Harley's Day. Wow, have you seen Pastor Forbes?" No, we had a method. And that method was such that we were paying monthly. Every bit of our income, especially our end of month income, every bit of it was going to reimburse where we got what we got to start with. And so you can lose sleep. You can plot evil. You can even go mental because you are getting resentful and bitter, covetous and envious on something you have no fact about. Ladies and gentlemen, if you live by yourself in a one-bedroom bedsit, or maybe in a servant's quarters, a boy's quarters, an outhouse, and you see somebody who lives in a 3-story building, 2-story building, and you are jealous of them, it's strange. Do you know what their monthly expenses is as opposed to yours? So let's be careful. People are paying monthly installments we do not know, and people are struggling. Mortgages. There are people who study medicine in the northern hemisphere, and when they graduate, we are all happy. They throw that cap in the air, but as they're doing that, they're in hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. They're going to take years to pay that because their medical career was upfronted by either a state loan or some kind of a grant. There are companies which you deal with. There are restaurants. They charge you and you have this wonderful spread for your team of 20 and you've had a great time. As soon as you pay them, that money is going to the bank. They have a loan to pay, to repay. That car, X5, X6, Range Rover, Vogue, it's not always theirs. So whether jealousy is founded or unfounded, it is a destroyer. It shortchanges us across the board because we waste a lot of our good functional energy in hating people, resenting people, becoming envious, and even start planning and plotting. The same energy we could have used to better our own lives. Or even lesser amount of energy to just approach them and say, I really admire what you are doing, ma'am. I admire what you are doing, sir. Is there anything I can learn? Can I come as an apprentice? Can I work as an intern? I celebrate you rather than I hate you. I admire you rather than I envy you. Because that envy and resentment and jealousy will keep you away from what can even help you and raise you to the next level. And ladies and gentlemen, as I begin to wrap up, and I'll do another part of this, let me say that life will always be segmented. As I said, we all know that many years ago, a particular Asian leader thought the answer was for every citizen to wear the same blue and white outfit. Go and check the country now. It's probably one of the most prosperous countries. They are not wearing blue and white. Because you cannot legislate people's ability, their business acumen. You can't legislate people's desire for excellence and their hunger and their thirst to be something and to create a legacy and to better their lives, especially for their children, regardless where they live. So life would always be segmented. Ladies and gentlemen, around the world, and I'm sure even in our nation, there are countries when you see the zip code or the postcode, you know. And when you drive through the streets, you know. Northeast Washington is not Northwest Washington. SW postcode in UK is not SE postcode in UK. And some areas, they have what they call the school district. So the reason why your child is going to that school district is because you live there. And that in itself is a function of your earning capacity, etc. So you can stretch yourself and uplift your life and move to another school district where obviously the chances are better. Or you can take the bull by the horn and add private tuition, home education to it. But the world is like that. You know that game we play, Monopoly? You know, it starts with Old Kent Road. I think Old Kent Road is brown. And then you have Houston Station, Marlboro, Marylebone, and you are going around. You get to King's Cross, then you get to the Greens. You start getting to Oxford Circus, Oxford Street. You start getting to Bond Street. You get to Mayfair. And you know, the cost of 7 houses and hotels in Old Kent is the cost of 1 house in Mayfair. And you know it, ladies and gentlemen. Rolls-Royce is never going to build their plant in a low-income place. No business does that. Fuel stations count the number of cars that ply a road in a day, and they have a threshold. If the numbers don't reach that threshold, they're not going to put a filling station there. Why? Why put a bank branch in a desert? How many people will be there with money? You're going to have to put CCTV, internet, satellite, internet. Who does that? Why are there certain businesses on Kairaba Avenue? Why are there certain houses in Prophet Heights? It's not all corruption. People should not be quick to jump to conclusions. Some people have worked hard and deserve to enjoy their labor. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's all rise up as a nation to admire, celebrate, encourage, love, be inspired by, so it becomes a win-win lifestyle for us nationally. Because this them and us, we are the masses, they are the bourgeois, and all that, no, will not work. We've had a taste of it ourselves. It did not take us anywhere. Rhetoric that comes from the top that spews hate and jealousy, resentment and anger for a people is not good. It's not good. Let me stop here because I want to pick up from here next week. And what I want to pick up on is a parable that the Lord Jesus Christ, our Savior, our Messiah, Al-Masihu himself, said that a particular man was going on a long journey and he called his 3 servants and he gave them talents. The first one, he gave him 5 talents or abilities, 5 giftings. The other one, he gave him 2 talents. It's like seed money. And the third one, he gave him 1 talent. And the Lord Jesus Christ said he gave each of them according to their ability. According to their ability. So he was going to underutilize the man that had 5 if he gave him 1, as he was going to waste 4 by giving the man whose ability was 1, 5. Because if your ability is 1, you will only do 1. If your ability is 5, you will do 5. And the one who has 1, rather than being jealous and resentful and annoying and covetous and envious of the one who has 5, must come close and learn. How did you make 5? Because I know you didn't start with 5. You started with 1. It became 2. It became 3. Show me the pathway. And they will show you the pathway. They will also show you a sense of determination that if you have, you will get there. So that will be the second half of this jealousy anyan, which is killing our country. Until I come your way next week, by the grace of God, this is Pastor Forbes saying, let's all have a good day, and may God help us so that we get deliverance from jealousy and become a people who love and celebrate and have a win-win mindset. Have a good day.